that if Tottenham can bring in Van der Ven and Tapsoba, then it allows you to have a very much an easier conversation regarding Reguilloon and SESSEGNON. And if reports are true, or reports that are out there are to be believed, and that Tottenham are willing to let both of them go, then I believe that that gives more credibility. I think that strengthens the argument that Tottenham may in fact be playing smokescreens here, but in actual fact will try and sign both Van der Ven and Tapsoba. Morning everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. Well, there's Bugsy Malone walking just in front of me. How are you? We hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things you love with the people that you love doing them with. Please do me a favour, guys. Like you always do, smash the like button for me on the video. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Join the other 11,000 and near 300 Tottenham fans that have gone before you. Welcome back to all of them. Welcome to the new. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on today's video. By the way, guys, just in case you weren't aware, if there's several sort of talking points, several different topics on any of these videos, then I try to break them up using chapters. So if you're on YouTube, especially it's easy with the desktop, and you're getting bored with any particular talking point, then you can skip ahead and find the next one. And I think that might be the case today. And I think that might be the case today because there's probably quite a few names I'm going to mention here. They're all outgoings. Today seems to be the day where there's a tsunami of potential transfer news, views and clues to get through regarding outgoings. Let's start with goalkeeper HUGO LLORIS. I think a lot of us probably thought that his career had reached the twilight stages following a very successful period at Tottenham and with the French team, etc. But we all thought he was probably going to either go back to France to see out his days, or to take the money and go to Saudi Arabia. Little did we see the turn-up of events that has taken place. Andre Onana, Inter Milan goalkeeper, a goalkeeper that Tottenham Hotspur were interested in just a few weeks ago before we signed Guillermo Vicario. Well, he looks set to move to Manchester United in about a £60 million deal, maybe 60 million euros, something around there anyway. And Inter Milan have targeted and prioritised bringing in HUGO LLORIS to replace him. I mean, it's largely irrelevant to Tottenham where he goes. I think in all likelihood it will be a free transfer, a contract tear-up situation, similar to what is happening with Ivan Perisic. It's very interesting for Inter Milan though. If you remember, last summer they supposedly had to finish the window with a £60 million or 60 million euro net income generation because of their financial issues. That got kicked down the road till January, and then they had some new financial situation that was organised and constructed, and I think it was kicked down the road again. And maybe this summer is when they're trying to balance it out. They've already sold Marcelo Brozovic into Saudi Arabia for a ridiculously low fee of 15 million euros. That wasn't enough. I don't know why more teams in competitive leagues didn't go in for that one, but maybe it was all about the money. What a wonderful player he was. But in selling Andre Onana for about 60 million and then replacing him with HUGO LLORIS, maybe HUGO LLORIS has got a second lease on life here. Maybe he can finish his career on another high. Inter Milan, obviously a Champions League team, a very competitive team in the Italian Serie A. And so maybe that Newcastle debacle where he walked off at half-time feigning injury, maybe that's not the kind of the sad exit from competitive football that we thought it was going to be. Good luck to him. As much as I didn't like the way it finished, I very much appreciated the way it went for the majority of the time. A good, wonderful servant of Tottenham Hotspur, and I really do hope he can find a way to re-kick into gear and find his form of old, as he does run down the clock on his very successful career. He's the first one, as we mentioned. Get him out the way, probably free transfer, so zero revenue coming in. The next one to talk about is TANGUY and NDOMBELE. According to Football Insider and Caught Offside, journalists in Turkey, reputable journalists from Fanatic, the Turkish tier 1 outlet, has said that Napoli sorry, not Napoli, that Galatasaray have agreed a deal with Tottenham to loan Tanguy and NDOMBELE. That is all done in principle. A small fee will be included of a few million euros, subject to certain other targets not happening. It's almost like a backup plan. And I think their number one target, I think his name is it Padeas? I'm going to butcher the guy's name. The midfielder from PSG. He's the first choice for Galatasaray. He's a wonderful talent as well. But if that doesn't happen, if that doesn't work out, then allegedly, according to this fanatic, then Tanguy and NDOMBELE will be going to Galatasaray on loan and maybe being joined by Davinson Sanchez. I'll talk about Sanchez in a minute. But in terms of NDOMBELE, we're talking like maybe a €3 million loan fee, something like that, according to reports. And like I say, the reports that are reporting this from Fanatic are saying that Fanatic is very reliable. I'll be honest, I've read that so many times over the last few months. I think I've spoken about this before. Turkish media have a very liberal use of the word deal agreed or confirmed deal or it's done. We've been linked with Altay Bayindir, the goalkeeper from, was it Besiktas or Fenerbahce? I forget. Besiktas, I think. That was a done deal that never happened. We also had a done deal agreement in place with Victor Nelsson, and that hasn't happened yet. Now that doesn't mean it won't happen, because that is somewhat part of the arrangement, potentially, of the deal that may see Davinson Sanchez go to Galatasaray. So if reports are to be believed, then subject to the PSG midfielder deal falling through at Galatasaray, they will take Tanguy and NDOMBELE, and in a separate deal, but that is being organised at the same time, Davinson Sanchez may go to Galatasaray for €10 million, and in a separate deal you might see Tottenham buy Victor Nelsson for about €25 million if reports are to be believed. Look, I've told you about my thoughts on Victor Nelsson in the past. I think he's a wonderful footballer with the ball at his feet. I've never seen a player who plays a defensive position have so many consecutive successful long ball accuracies as this guy does. He's very good with the ball at his feet if you're asking him to ping the ball long. But I don't think that that's necessarily always going to be required of a centre-back in a Postecoglou system. I think the higher frequency of requirements with the ball at your feet is going to be asking players to break the line and then to move the ball on the floor with quick 1-2 touches and zippy accuracy to break down the team rather than going through it. So whilst I do admire the player for his abilities on the ball, off the ball I think he's got a mistake in him. I think he reminds me a little bit of Eric Dyer. I don't dislike this player at all. If Tottenham were to go and get him and it was part of an easier process because you were getting rid of Sanchez and the numbers made sense, I don't mind him coming in to be a backup to Romero on the right. I think he's a good player. Does he excite me? Not really. When I first looked into him, I was amazed by the excellence of his long ball accuracy. That's what stood out to me. The rest, everything was okay. Nothing too exceptional. But if it means we can get rid of Davinson Sanchez and it doesn't disrupt our ability to go and get a Van der Ven and a Tapsoba, I'm okay with it. I still think we do need 3 centre-backs. I'd be surprised if we got 3. But I could see it happening if the numbers make sense. So that's Davinson Sanchez chalked off. That is Tanguy and NDOMBELE chalked off. That is HUGO LLORIS chalked off. Obviously, we spoke yesterday about PIERRE HOJBJERG and his willingness to leave and go to Atletico Madrid. That is also catching a bit more heat this morning. 30 to 35 million euros is the suggested asking price, and that is not a problem for Atletico Madrid, apparently. And so we might be saying goodbye to Pierre. I won't go into too much detail into this one because we spoke about it yesterday, but I'm okay with it as long as the money for him is not then used to fill positions elsewhere. If you lose HUGO, you need a 6. You need to go and get a 6. And on that note, where I am going to talk about it, is a lot of people were saying over the last few days that SOFYAN AMRABAT is done. He's cooked. He's going to Manchester United. But this morning, there's a lot of reports out saying that Tottenham are still very much interested in SOFYAN AMRABAT, and that deal could be hijacked, and that 30 million euros would be enough. I'm not sure what to believe, because when I first heard that he was available for 25 million euros, I was gobsmacked that Fiorentina would allow a player of his calibre and his quality to leave. Paolo Zanetti, a respected journalist, an ex-footballer in Italy, has talked and waxed lyrical about the monster that is SOFYAN AMRABAT. Stuart Pearce, I remember saying the same sort of thing on in the World Cup commentary, that for me he'd be an absolutely spot-on fit for what we need. But the reports are that actually Fiorentina are asking for like 45 million from Manchester United, not quite as low as was initially reported. So I'm not sure where we're at with the story, but if it's true that the reports I'm seeing this morning are fresh and up to date, and that the deal for him going to Man United is not done, then I'd encourage Tottenham to figure it out, and figure it out quickly, because to me he's an immediate starter for Tottenham. He fits in like a glove. Our midfield would look so much more competent and comfortable with him in it. And I would ask the question of SOFYAN AMRABAT, if I was trying to pitch to him come to Tottenham, where do you fit in at Manchester United? Do you fit in alongside Casemiro, or are you competing with him? And if you're competing with him, how much game time are you really going to get? Obviously United are going to be playing 2 games a season. They're back in the Champions League, so I'm sure he'll get minutes. But for me personally, if you want to come in and be sure of a place in a team that's going places, then AMRABAT should maybe look at Tottenham on this particular one. That would be lovely to see. HOJBJERG on the way out. Also this morning, did I see, or did I not see, noise that Tottenham are having conversations as we speak with Spanish clubs for Sergio Reguilón. No Spanish clubs were mentioned, but that he is a willingness to go home, and there's a willingness on Tottenham's part to let him go. And the same could be said, but this time it wasn't, they didn't mention clubs at all, about Ryan SESSEGNON. And I made this point yesterday on Sava's channel and on Henry's channel, that if Tottenham can bring in Van der Ven and Tapsoba, then it allows you to have a very much an easier conversation regarding Reguilón and SESSEGNON. And if reports are true, or reports that are out there are to be believed, and that Tottenham are willing to let both of them go, then I believe that that gives more credibility. I think that strengthens the argument that Tottenham may in fact be playing smoke screens here, but in actual fact will try and sign both Van der Ven and Tapsoba. If you get in Van der Ven, he can play left-sided centre-back, or he can play left-back. Ben Davies can do the same. Udogie can play left-back, and then as far as left-sided centre-backs, you've got Tapsoba alongside Van der Ven, alongside Ben Davies. Your back left-hand side is completely covered by those players. You don't need SESSEGNON, and you don't need Reguilón. Reguilón, however, there is an argument to keep him just as a player of good value, I think, who could fit into the system more easily. But SESSEGNON, I'm ready for him to go. It's been a failed experiment, a very expensive experiment, and it didn't work out. So there's lots and lots and lots of talk of players leaving. One player, though, who seems to be looking more and more confident and happy at Tottenham for the first time since I think we've seen him, is Bryan Gil. If you look at all the training videos that are being released, it seems like there's a very an interesting air of confidence and happiness that seems to be sweeping across the squad at the moment. I think everyone is enjoying playing and participating in football that is forward thinking and front foot by its intentions. And Bryan Gil, to me, is a player that will benefit from this. Whether or not that is on the left-hand side, whether or not that is included bringing him into the middle, I'm not someone that thinks that just because he's a lightweight framed man that he can't do it. I remember distinctly Harry Redknapp saying the same thing about Luka Modric. He came in as a left-hand midfielder. He said, bring him into the centre. All of the coaches said he's too lightweight. Harry said, I don't care, do it anyway. And that was that day, that training session was the last time you ever saw him play on the left. From then on, he was playing in the centre and has continued in that position ever since. Luka Modric isn't a particularly strong guy. He just uses his body weight and glides around people in the best fit for what he has to do. Bryan Gil needs to learn to not fall over at the first touch, but actually fight it off and try to ride the challenge better. But if he does that, he could, I think, fit into a much more centralised, creative position. And maybe, just maybe, Postecoglou will see something similar over the coming days and weeks on the training ground. and give him more of a kind of advanced senior role in the squad than he was trusted to have under Conte. Time will tell on that one. I haven't seen any links this morning regarding him going out, but like I say, what I have seen instead is rumours and reports that he looks happier than ever at Hotspur Way. So guys, the only other news and noise that's out there, of course, is about Harry Kane, and the mainstream media are still pushing their narrative to get him out of the club. It winds me right up, but what can you do? It is what it is. I hope that he'll sign a new contract, but if reports are to be believed there, he won't be signing a new contract this summer, and we'll be leaning the pressure on. Let me know your thoughts, guys. What are your thoughts on all the outgoings? Are you happy with the idea that maybe AMRABAT could still be signed? SESSEGNON and REGUILLON out the door. How about Victor Nelson? Player plus cash swap deal for Sanchez. Let me know, guys. I'll let you go. Enjoy your Saturday. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, bye-bye.